Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. We are going to be talking about many things today. We didn't get to talk about Peyton Manning and the HGH allegations for which he was cleared yesterday, which is an interesting conversation to have. I also want to talk about the University of Florida and with the departure of former quarterback, now receiver, I have no idea, Treon Harris. Now that he's transferring out, what is the deal with Florida and quarterbacks? Basically, since Tim Tebow, they haven't had anything worth really watching down there in Gainesville since Tebow. And a great number of those guys that haven't really been worth watching have transferred away. It's not just that they had guys that were not good while they were down there. It's that the guys felt like, I don't really feel like being in Florida, and they just bolted. Okay, transfers all over the place. An Iowa football player. Kind of want to get into this particular story because it's a Florida football player mistaken for a bank robber, and he was held at gunpoint. And I want to talk some more about the Michael Jordan thing from yesterday because I feel like I didn't get very, very, very deep into that, just a little bit. And I mean, the reason why Michael Jordan's sudden political stand is disappointing is because he's not really standing on anything. So there's that. We'll get into all of that as well as the Olympics being every day it's something new about the Olympics, and the closer we get to it, the more that I can't believe this is actually happening. It would have made sense to just cancel the whole thing. What do we have going on in the Olympics that hasn't by now told us that maybe we shouldn't be having the Olympics? Because by my count, it's like 10 things in the Olympics, along with the river of fecal matter that athletes will be performing in, down to the buildings not being up to code in the Olympic Village, or the fact that people have been mugged and kidnapped already. Have been mugged and kidnapped. Come on, man. We'll get to all of that. This is Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose, and you can find a way to communicate with me and everybody else on this station via social media, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You can find all of those links at hotnewstalkradio.com. You can also stream all our shows, whether you are a fan of this one, The Herd with Colin Cowherd, Sean Hannity, Free Talk Live, Yahoo Sports, NASCAR, the NFL on Sundays as we get closer and closer to football season. We have it all, and you can stream it at hotnewstalkradio.com. You can also stream it on our Facebook page. Actually, you can go to the Facebook page and click on the link that says radio plugin right next to the photos link at the top of the page, or the little radio icon in the bottom left corner, and you can stream Hot News Talk Radio there as well. You can also check us out on the TuneIn Radio app. It's absolutely free in your favorite app store. Simply give us a follow, press play. You'll have Hot News Talk Radio everywhere you go. So Peyton Manning got cleared of the HGH allegations that were initially leveled against him by the Al Jazeera is the network there that had a documentary, and they didn't just name Peyton Manning; they named a few other athletes as well. The HGH allegations in the NFL that was a big story for a while, and then the NFL opened an investigation into it. They've cleared Peyton Manning of those allegations so far as they've been able to find. They said that they didn't find any credible evidence of prohibited substances used, HGH or otherwise. What I want to know with the NFL is this: why did they open an investigation into Peyton Manning in the first place? To what end? Like, what do they gain out of this? And for that matter, continuing to fight Deflategate, what do you gain out of that? That to prove that you're the league? Yeah, you're the league. You suspend people at will already. To prove that your big names can't get away with stuff? What does that prove? Because your big names typically do get away with stuff. Guys that aren't big names get away with stuff. I mean, you got beaten by Greg Hardy in the case because of how it is that you ruled on him in the first place, and you had no jurisdiction to do that. So what are you trying to prove by opening up an investigation into Peyton Manning? It's sort of like the whole Ted Cruz thing at the Republican National Convention, where Ted Cruz had no intention of endorsing Donald Trump. Then what did you get on the stage for? What did you get on the stage for? Honestly, because if you weren't going to endorse the guy, you do realize that's what you were all there for. The NFL is going to open an investigation into Peyton Manning. Why? What are you doing this for? Because if you're not going to find Peyton Manning guilty of anything, what are you doing this for? You have two options here. Either you find Peyton Manning to be guilty of HGH use, which is the worst possible outcome, because if Peyton Manning could use HGH, considering his reputation of having high character, if Peyton Manning could use HGH, who else could be using HGH? Basically everybody, right? If Peyton could. Peyton Manning is one of the good guys in football. So if he could be using, anybody could be using. Why would you want that as a possibility? The other possibility is that you don't find Peyton Manning guilty, but now we got to look at the NFL and how the NFL does investigations, because the NFL has a track record of not really doing investigations correctly or doing investigations part of the way and finding the answer that they most like to find. For instance, all of the head trauma stuff that the league sat on and knew about CTE, sort of, but didn't really tell anybody. Just thought that was not information that anybody needed to know, and thought that they would report to the world that there was no conclusive evidence between helmet-to-helmet contact and head trauma, brain trauma. They said they didn't find any conclusive evidence of that. So yeah, we can be a little skeptical of NFL investigations. And if anything, this serves to put a spotlight on your investigative abilities. And why would you want that? Again, what good comes out of it? Those are the only two options. Either people have to question how you investigate and your investigation, or you actually investigate well and your investigation turns up something that nobody wants to know. Does it help that Peyton Manning cooperated with everybody? Of course it does. Of course it does. But like, the league didn't want to find anything. And I, for one, am a person who is inclined to believe that Peyton Manning did nothing wrong, because I like Peyton Manning as a player. He has been one of my favorite players for a very long time to watch. Like, before I was really into college football, so I was not really very much into Peyton's time at Tennessee, because I just was young and I was 8 when he graduated from Tennessee. So yeah, like, I don't remember any of that. But Peyton Manning as a Colt was always fun to watch for me growing up as a kid. Like, that Peyton Manning was must-see television so far as I was concerned. And so yeah, I would be one of the people inclined to just look at this and go, yeah, no, I don't want to believe that this is true. But if that were the case, like, if I didn't want to believe that was true, and if the NFL is anything like me and didn't want to believe that this is true because of how this makes your game look, because looking dirty is never a good look. If that's the case, then for God's sakes, what'd you open the investigation for? Nobody asked you to do this. This is the thing that baffles me the most. It's the investigation that nobody wanted. Nobody was knocking down the door at the NFL. Hey, you have to clear up the steroid problem in the NFL. We have a lot of problems with the NFL. We've got the brain trauma thing that I've been talking about. Players have the issue with how much they get paid and how much money is guaranteed. We've got issues with opioids in the NFL. We've got issues with the use of opioids being passed out, quote unquote, like candy. The injuries that people are sustaining. I mean, there's lots of issues with the NFL. The one issue that nobody cares about, that nobody was ever asking for an investigation for, was, don't tell me the guys are using HGH. Because I know I don't care. And I can't remember the last NFL fan I talked to that did. We don't care about that in the NFL. I mean, a little bit, but like, we don't care about that in the NFL. And I was listening to The Herd with Colin Cowherd the other day, he had Shannon Sharp on the show, and Shannon made a great point. The reason why we don't care about steroids in the NFL is because the records aren't sacred. Like in baseball, the records are sacred. You can't be Barry Bonds taking steroids and breaking Hank Aaron's home run record. Why not? Because the record is bigger than the game. That's why we care about steroids. I mean, if there were no records in baseball that mattered, and I know that that's impossible because it's such a statistically driven sport, but say that there weren't. If there were no records in baseball that mattered, then steroids wouldn't be that big a deal. Steroids are a big deal because the records, did you do it cleanly or did you not do it cleanly? Okay, this is why the Patriots get in so much trouble, because the team is perceived to cheat. And that affects championship stuff. If your right tackle is on steroids, I don't think that anybody is going to say, hey, that's the reason why you won a Super Bowl, because Russell Okung was on steroids. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it's the way that the game is structured. Steroids aren't going to swing one way or another your ability to win championships, which is the only thing that matters in that game. It's the investigation that nobody on earth was asking for, and the NFL just decided, for whatever reason, they were going to open it on up and look inside and see what happened, and then proceeded to go through the motions in an investigation that they themselves decided had to happen. And I'm telling you, and I'm telling the league right now, it didn't have to happen. I don't care. Nobody was asking for this. The only people who this affects are Peyton Manning fans specifically. Because if you're just a football fan, like if you're a Patriots fan, there is no reason for this to affect you in any way. If you are a Titans fan, say you're a Titans fan, but you went to Vanderbilt, so you've got no extra space in your heart for UT. I mean, what does this do for you, really? Nothing. It doesn't do anything for you. This only affects people who are fans of Peyton. So why did the league open this investigation? Do we believe that there are people in the NFL using steroids? Yeah, we do. We also do not care. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. I'm going to shift gears a little bit because the University of Florida has to deal with the fact that they don't have a quarterback. Not really. And Jim McElwain moved Treon Harris to receiver, and Treon Harris was like, no, man, I want to play quarterback. And so he left. He is transferred out. And so I decided to look back at the list of Florida quarterbacks since Tim Tebow. And it is not good. And I don't think this is the most shocking thing ever. Like, if you've been following Florida football for the longest time, it's not pretty what's happening there. The quarterbacks that have started for the University of Florida since Tim Tebow left Gainesville are John Brantley, Jacoby Brissett, Jeff Driscoll, Tyler Murphy, Skylar Morningwig, Treon Harris, and Will Greer. Of those guys, Greer, Harris, Morningwig, Murphy, Driscoll, Brissett have all transferred. They all transferred. Every single last one. You have trouble holding on to quarterbacks. This is a problem because that's the most important position out there. And if you can't hold on to a quarterback, not one, and it's not like you're losing great guys. Okay, you did lose Cam. You lost Cam Newton, but you had to lose Cam Newton because of behavior stuff. But like outside of Cam, who never got the opportunity to start at Florida, which would have just been beast if that had ever happened, but never got the opportunity to start at Florida. None of these guys that they've lost have been good. That is some okay guys, but nobody in there has been good, like a good quarterback that you can rely on this guy to help you win football games. John Brantley was like, eh. Here's where we were at with John Brantley. I was reading things on John Brantley earlier today, and the general consensus around John Brantley after Tim Tebow was John Brantley is going to be the real quarterback that this offense needs, because it's pretty well documented and known Tim Tebow's not much of a passer, and that's why his NFL career ended the way that it did. There was not much passing going on in Tim Tebow's NFL career. Tim Tebow is beyond the prototypical rushing quarterback. Okay, he runs, he's quick, he's huge, he's very difficult to tackle. He throws well enough. If a guy's open, Tim can hit him. The windup makes the passes slow, obviously, but he's good at what he did at the college level of the game. Possibly the greatest Florida quarterback ever, because he was really good. Okay, here's the thing, though. Brantley was supposed to be your pocket passer, traditional guy. He does it standing upright, looking down the field. It's not mobility with Brantley. He's a real quarterback. That was what was getting tossed around. And 8-5 season later, and Urban Meyer's gone, and we came to the realization that maybe John Brantley is not the guy that we were looking for. And in 2011, John Brantley, Jacoby Brissett, Jeff Driscoll, all started a quarterback at one point or another. And between the three of them, the unholy trinity of Brantley, Brissett, and Driscoll had 13 touchdowns together combined, and 13 interceptions, which is a very low number of touchdowns to have put together in a group of three people, and a very high number of interceptions to have in a group put together with three people. In fact, that season, no single quarterback in the SEC threw more interceptions than the three of those men did all at once. So you've got that going for you overall. It's just one of those situations where why can't Florida hang on to quarterbacks that they have, and why can't they seem to find a good one? And I understand that, like, finding a good quarterback is hard to find. And then on top of that, the SEC is not like the best quarterback conference. We've had some great quarterbacks, but especially in the 2000s. Like in the 2000s, we have not seen great quarterbacks, especially if you want to go to guys that are traditional, guys that stand up and spin the rock. We haven't had that really. Okay, I mean, even if you look at a guy like a Dak Prescott last year, a Dak Prescott is a guy that is very Donovan McNabb-esque. He's quite mobile, and I think that helps him a lot. Where we've had quarterbacks that have come through and they've had the promise of being this sort of stand in the pocket, throw darts kind of guy, and I don't know that many of them have lived up to the expectation. And we've had Matt Stafford through the years. And we certainly have Jacob Eason now as that next promising guy that's supposed to be able to do it. But the conference as a whole does struggle with that. And Florida probably is the most extreme example of struggling with that. Because it's not that you're not finding like traditional stand-up pocket passer guys. Like even your read option running first quarterbacks are terrible at Florida. They've all been bad. You haven't had any guys that can really stand out at that school. And then on top of that, they feel like there's something wrong with the school because they just transfer away. Jacoby Brissett transferred to North Carolina State. Jeff Driscoll transferred to Louisiana Tech. Tyler Murphy transferred to Boston College. Skylar Morningwig transferred to Columbia. Will Greer transferred to West Virginia. I mean, and the list goes on. I mean, it's just a bunch of guys deciding, you know what, this is not working for me, and they leave. And the thing with Will Greer is Will Greer did look like the real deal halfway through the season. And then he got popped for substance use. And I don't know exactly what it is about that whole situation that he decided to transfer to West Virginia, but he did. And I'm looking at this on paper and going, you've got a problem in Florida, which is that you've got talent literally everywhere else. I mean, this team is good enough to contend in the East, except there is no quarterback, and that's why nobody's picking him. If you feel disrespected, look at the guy under center. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. Let's talk some Olympics.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240. You and I know that real men are prepared for anything. You know what I'm talking about because you're a Take Charge guy. Everyone's talking about Grimm's Tactical, featuring first responder gear, survival gear and equipment, Voodoo Tactical, Leapers. For personal protection, Grimm's Tactical features non-lethal personal protection gear, AR/AK parts, knives, canning and dehydrating equipment. If you hike and camp, Grimm's Tactical has got what you're looking for, bags and packs. And for your side piece, concealed carry holsters for men and women. Plus, Grimm's Tactical carries a wide variety of freeze-dried food. Wise Mountain House, Backpacker's Pantry, Grimm's Tactical, where law enforcement shops, Safari Lane, Blackhawk, 511, first responder gear at Grimm's Tactical. Grimm's Tactical, 8115 East Brainerd Road, in the shopping center next to the Walmart Marketplace. Look for the Mighty Mini U-Haul office. Grimm's Tactical is right next door. Grimm's Tactical, 8115 East Brainerd Road. Finding just the right place to live can be a daunting task. Stop your search. In Chattanooga, the place to live is Cross Creek Villas for under $1,000 and available for immediate move-in. You can enjoy this 2-bedroom split layout, over 1,000 square feet, 9-foot ceilings, an extra-large patio or balcony. And don't forget to ask about their preferred employer program. Cross Creek Villas is a gated community offering a 24-hour fitness facility, a beautiful pool and hot tub, and Cross Creek Villas is pet-friendly. Stroll the pet park with your best friend and enjoy the free use of their business center and clubhouse. Plus, if you mention you heard this on the radio, your application fee is free. Cross Creek Villas, close to downtown off of Highway 58. Go to crosscreekchattanooga.com. That's crosscreekchattanooga.com or call 894-0446. That's 894-0446. Redefine the way you live at Cross Creek Villas. Go to crosscreekchattanooga.com or call 894-0446. Cross Creek Villas.
Becoming fair through the nighttime hours, muggy, warm overnight, lows only 72 to 75. For Wednesday, another very hot, humid day, highs well into the 90s. An isolated afternoon shower storm possible with scattered showers and storms more likely late Thursday into Friday. For lunch or dinner, come to Guthrie's, home of the original golden fried delicious chicken finger with their special world famous sauce. Open daily, locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, and Ringgold. Go get Guthrie's. It's always good. And I'm 1412 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Hoare. On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240.
Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. A 57-year-old Whitfield County man was apparently stabbed multiple times by his girlfriend, according to police, with a pair of scissors after they got into an argument. During the altercation, Ms. Patterson picked up a pair of scissors and began stabbing Mr. Quarles several times. He suffered wounds to his arms, chest, and hands. He's been taken to the hospital, and he's expected to recover. An arrest warrant's been issued for Ms. Patterson on charge of aggravated assault. The Orange Grove Recycling Center, which offered employment for those with disabilities, is going to close up shop. It's been operational since 1990. A new federal mandate is determining what jobs those with developmental disabilities can work, and Recycling Center is not on the list. The recycling program will continue, but at a different location and with different workers. Orange Grove is now trying to find new opportunities for the former employees. It was going on in the Tennessee Valley. It's going on Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Be sure to like us on Facebook and listen in on the TuneIn Radio app.
Hot News Talk 1240.
talked a little bit about Michael Jordan yesterday. That Michael Jordan has not been one to stand up for social issues. Carmelo Anthony said yesterday, about time, basically, that Michael Jordan stood up on social issues. And I understand that athletes don't have to stand up on social issues. They don't have to. I'm a person that I don't believe that athletes have to. I don't think that they should if they don't want to. I think once they do, two things have to happen. I think that they should be informed about the issues that they are standing up for. Don't start talking about police shootings if you don't know who got shot and when. If you don't know anything about the situations and you didn't bother to do the homework, don't stand there and talk about it. I don't want to hear you say anything if you're not informed. However, that does not apply to just athletes. That's just anybody that bothers to open their mouth. If you don't know something, stop talking about it. Stop it. Literally go on the internet, on your phone or whatever, and look it up and educate yourself. So that's one. Two is that when athletes start saying stuff and they have their political opinions or whatever, social opinions, once they've done the research, they're going to come to an opinion. And that opinion might not be your opinion. And at that point, we just have to live with an athlete having an opinion that we don't like. And we don't like to live with that. We don't enjoy the idea that someone has an opinion that's not the one that we like. And there's some opinions that it's not hard to come down on what the right answer to an opinion is. Okay, there's some opinions where it's not difficult to find the correct answer to that question. Should the police be out here shooting black folks? No, they should not. That really is not a hard issue to decide to come down the right way on. Furthermore, should people just be shooting the police? No, they should not be doing that. Again, not a difficult issue to figure out which side of that to come down on. So Michael Jordan doing this is what makes Michael Jordan's social activism not unappreciated, because it is appreciated. Anytime you can shine a spotlight on an issue that is important and move that into the forefront, that's something that's always going to be helpful. But here's what makes this thing with Michael Jordan particularly noteworthy is Michael Jordan has never gotten involved in social issues. And the one time he does get involved in social issues, it's the time where he can literally not choose the wrong thing here. This is not an issue where it's hard to figure out where to come down on what the right side of the issue is. Yes, I mean, by donating money to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund and to the police officers, especially the branch involving community outreach, that tells you that his mind is in the right place, but that Michael Jordan is still about the brand. That the reason why you don't get involved in political and social issues in the first place is because you're afraid that if you choose a side that people don't agree with, it'll hurt the brand. And now, by getting involved in this issue that literally does not need more attention, it is pretty well versed. It's like my annoyance with the NFL getting everybody all dressed up in pink for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. There is nobody who is out there who is pro breast cancer. Not one person on this earth. And for breast cancer awareness, who by now is not aware of the existence of breast cancer? There are so many other issues that we could try and put our energies towards solving and raising awareness for. Like, we're aware about breast cancer. We are very aware. You want to try and do that once every 5 years instead of every single year? Let's do a mental health awareness month. Every year, we do the troops and we do breast cancer because the NFL can get you a camo jersey and the NFL can get you a pink jersey, and that's going to make the NFL a lot of money. This is where we are with Michael Jordan. Like, this is not to say that he donated this money to raise his brand, but he he has finally decided to be involved in socio-political issues, and he is involved in an issue that is not going to hurt his brand in any way. So this idea that he says, I can't stay silent anymore. Really? Because there's so many issues that for which you could also say that you shouldn't be staying silent. Sweatshop labor is something that is incredibly serious and is basically modern day slavery. And I know that I'm not any better for this because I've got a smartphone, I've got a computer, a laptop, a MacBook, and I know that those places are the places that make these devices are being made in countries where people are being paid nothing to work basically forever. It's as close to modern day slavery as we're going to get. And Michael Jordan's shoes are in large part put together by people in poor nations that get paid nothing to put these shoes together, and they get overworked, and it's children working, and it's horrible stuff. And Michael Jordan has not said a word about any of that stuff. Not one word. That would be a time. Those people are minority groups in this country too. Right? I mean, that would be a time to step up for somebody who's weaker than you, but it doesn't help the brand. It doesn't help the brand. That he can charge $135 for a shoe that somebody else is making for $150 an hour on a 70-hour work week. I mean, come on. It doesn't help the brand. And I think that that's what this ultimately comes down to, is Michael Jordan is about the brand. And so if we're going to, that's the reason why I am reticent to give Michael Jordan a pat on the back for suddenly being involved in social, economic, and political issues. Is this, if Michael Jordan really cared, I'm going to have to see it. I'm going to have to see it. I'm going to have to see it happen more often. Yes, it's a big deal. He donated $2 million, which, yeah, Michael Jordan's a billionaire. So $2 million comes out to what? If you make $50,000 a year, that's like $1,000 for you. So it's not a little bit. That's a lot of money, even for him. I get it. But, you know, I that doesn't mean that I'm just going to be all excited. Oh, Michael Jordan is involved. Yeah, he couldn't hold his silence any longer. Man, my thing is, what took you? Like, I'm with Carmelo Anthony on this one. It's about time. You have a platform and you've decided not to use it. And if for him, it's a little different because I think we're very aware as to why Michael Jordan wouldn't say anything. We're aware of the existence of the brand, and he's not the first athlete to not say anything to protect the brand, but he is the biggest athlete. He's the biggest athlete to not say anything in protection of the brand, for sure. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. Watch with Keon Rose. Let's shift gears here a little bit. Change on over to some Olympic talk, because the Olympics are coming up in a week, and we are still having problems with the Olympics. As though we haven't had enough problems with the Olympics, with the concerns over Zika virus, the political meltdown. The government doesn't know what to do. The police are on strike. People are being kidnapped. And the Bay, where they're having the swimming events in, and I cannot stress this enough, as often as I can stress it, I will stress it, had human fecal matter in it until really recently. And by the way, they didn't completely clear it. That you will still get sick swimming in that. Okay? Swimming in that. You will actually get sick. So just FYI, none of those problems have been fixed. They just finished like a month ago the Velodrome, which is where they're going to have the cycling events. I don't know if that thing's going to stand because they just finished it in June. They were supposed to have the first test for the velodrome back in early May, late April, except the building didn't exist, so they couldn't have a test for it. They couldn't have the test race because the building was not actually up yet. You see how that's a problem? Because I think I see how that's a problem. And now people are starting to move into the Olympic Village. And you've got Argentinian Olympic officials alleging sabotage in the athletes' Olympic Village, even though I don't think it's sabotage. I just think the buildings are that horrible. But they said there were water leaks in the walls. Ceilings where things were done on them run with poor quality materials. But we also believe that there was some sabotage because how do you explain the cement blocks within the plumbing? It's a mess, and failures are repeated throughout the villa. So you have that. You have water leaking from the walls. You've got Rio athletes that are declaring the Olympic villages to be uninhabitable. The Australian team cannot live in there. They were scheduled to move in to their flat in the Olympic Village, and the Australian delegation refused to enter the facilities due to serious issues with the plumbing and fire safety. So either the Argentinians are just being sabotaged or everybody's being sabotaged, including all of us. I'm not going to sit down and tell you I sit down and watch every event of the Olympics. I did last Olympics because, you know, I had a whole summer to myself where I did not do anything, and it was glorious. 4 years ago. Time flies. It was fantastic. I watched all the Olympic events, and you know what? If you've got all day to do it, I would recommend it. But this one, I don't know if I'm not going to have the time to watch all of them, but like the events that I know that I want to see, I hope that our athletes make it to the buildings alive and safe, because where they're living is not good. Every time you turn around is more stuff from the Olympics. There's more things going on at the Olympic Village, and now we have word that only 12 of the 31 Olympics Athletes Village buildings have passed safety inspection. That's not even 50%. Not even 50% of the Olympic Village buildings have passed safety inspections. Athletes are going to Rio, and they're witnessing such things as gas leaks, power outages, and one story of a, quote, small fire. I mean, to call these buildings uninhabitable is, at this point, the greatest understatement on earth. It's like describing water as wet and the Flash as fast. It's just, why are we doing this? And I understand there's a level of the International Olympic Committee. They're corrupt. If they are not almost as corrupt as FIFA, they are as corrupt as FIFA. And they have taken money for years from nations that don't have the infrastructure to host the Olympics and allowed those nations to host the Olympics. And I think people are in real danger. Not just the athletes, though they're in danger too. If you just got fires breaking out in the Olympic Village, then yeah, they're in danger too. But people going down to the Olympics, how are you having people getting kidnapped and mugged? And the police are on strike. Which, by the way, Brazilian police, they weren't exactly on the up and up in the first place. Brazilian police were not exactly known for being upstanding individuals capable of great moral fiber. These guys were taking bribes and everything else before the Olympics. Now they're just on strike. So the people who may have been corrupt previously, but who you charge with taking care of your citizens and the citizens of visiting nations, those people don't even really want to work. They don't feel like they get paid enough to do what they do. And if the International Olympic Committee cannot see this as a gigantic problem, and it is a gigantic problem, then like what do we do the Olympics for? Because that's like one of the problems that we have. Like this whole thing with the Olympics, every single issue really stems from one problem. The committee is corrupt. They take money and bribes, and they just give the Olympics to nations that cannot afford to have the Olympics, whether that's socially, because the government's in shambles, whether that's monetarily, whether that's just the infrastructure. None of these things have been finished on time. According to The Guardian, 19 to 31 apartment towers, all of which are 17 stories tall, that comprise the Olympic Village, have not passed safety tests. Okay? And I don't know if you remember Sochi, the Sochi Olympics, but the situation is, I don't want to say the same as the Sochi situation, because Sochi had also wild dogs running in the streets chasing people as well. But the Sochi Olympics have sort of been that reminder that, yeah, well, how did we do this? How did we allow this to happen? We knew going in, things weren't going to be finished. And then we let it happen. We let the city of Sochi convince us this was going to be done in time, and we got to the time and things were not done. And then we did it again. We've done it again in Rio. We've let the nation of Brazil and the city of Rio convince us this is going to be finished. And you know what? It's not. And the thing that makes this different than Sochi is that we did our last World Cup in Rio. We should have known this already because they didn't finish the stadiums that the soccer games were in. And that's just a large event where everybody plays the same sport. Now we're going to a large event where everybody is playing different sports. How are you not having this stuff done yet? And I'm looking at the Olympics and I'm going, okay, you've got Olympic athletes who are not, most of them, small people living in these rooms. They've got twin-sized beds. They look more like Super 8 hotels than places that you would put elite athletes in the world, because I imagine if I'm an athlete, okay, and this is my life work. This is my actual life work. The one thing that I do, because a lot of these Olympic sports, they do these games, these events throughout the year, but let's face it, none of us really pay attention and or care until the Olympics roll around. Like Usain Bolt does run at other points in the year, but we don't actually pay attention to what it is that Usain Bolt does until basically the Olympics. The women's 100-meter hurdles, the world record for that was broken earlier this week, or actually last week. And nobody talked about it. Nobody was talking about it on SportsCenter. Nobody was talking about it on Fox Sports 1. And do you know why? Because it didn't happen in the Olympics. That is the only time we care about this stuff. So I'm an athlete working towards the one event, the one time maybe in my whole life where my talents and my skills will be recognized on an international stage. And I go to the nation that we are participating in these games in, and they put me up in, not even a Super 8 motel, because I've been to a lot of motels in my life, a lot. And let me tell you something. I have never been to a motel where I have flushed the toilet and water has come out the walls. I have never been to a motel where things have simply just caught on fire. I have never been to a motel that was not up to safety inspection standards. Are you catching my drift here? Those things I have never been to a motel. I have been in motels in shady parts of the world, and I have never been kidnapped and held for ransom. I mean, what you are asking these Olympic athletes to do, and not just the Olympic athletes, because this is supposed to be an event of world unity. This is supposed to be an event of inclusion, of the human spirit, where you will actually willingly sit down and watch all of those puff pieces that they make. It's supposed to be the story of that. And what we're having is a mess sitting in front of us. We've got a mess on our hands down in Rio. So I'm interested in seeing how it is that this goes. I cannot wait to see. I hope all the events turn out fine. I hope no more people get mugged or kidnapped. I hope they stop selling cocaine on the streets with the Olympic logo on it. A lot of gangs have taken to selling cocaine on the streets with the Olympic logo on the cocaine. And I'm going to have to tell you what, it's not a good look. It's not a good look that can happen. And it's happening openly enough. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. One last point before we go, and that's about Butch Jones, because Butch Jones is trying to talk about the signature moments of Tennessee and his time at Tennessee. And it's interesting because Butch Jones doesn't want that moment to be in front of him. Because if that moment is in front of him, the signature moment of Tennessee, then that means that he's got high expectations and he does not want to have high expectations. But Butch Jones has said that the defining moment for him in Tennessee was last year when Arkansas beat them. And they finished off the season really well, really hot, played really well after that, actually. But I don't think that that's the defining moment of Butch Jones' tenure at Tennessee. I don't think it's happened yet. And I think he's trying to weasel his way out of that, of putting that expectation in front of him. Next year, Butch Jones' defining moment for Tennessee is going to be one of the times that they face Alabama. Or if they lose and can't face Alabama. Because that basically decides whether or not we keep you. That decides whether or not Butch Jones is still basically the head coach of Tennessee. Because Tennessee loses the first Alabama game and can't make it to the second, we've got a problem. If they win the first one, then that's a defining moment. That's a good result. So we'll see. Thank you for listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. We've got a lot in store for you tomorrow. Remember, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch. Coming up next, Sons of Liberty. See you in 24 hours.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Shooter Tuesday is an exciting prospect at Shooters Supply and Range in Hickson. Hold your breath and squeeze. Shooters waives the membership fee if you want to shoot any Tuesday. You pay only a $10 range fee, half the price of other gun shops in the area. And another exciting bullseye, on Tuesdays only, enter a drawing. It's for a free $50 gift certificate. Spend the gift card on ammo toward a nifty $380 for your sweetheart, or the concealed carry class maybe, or the use of our electronic firing range. Trigger Tuesday, Shooter Supply and Range in the A-Frame right near Northgate Mall. 875-4868. Shop us at shooters-range.com. Repairs, transfers, a huge selection of firearms, shooter supply, and indoor range. Shooters-range.com.
Do you feel better outside your home or business than in? Indoor air quality is important. Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducks Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses. Prevent fires by cleaning your dryer vents. Mark and his parents, Dick and Joan Thompson, have been building our local economy and helping local people with HVAC systems 16 years. Ducts Indoor Air Professionals. Call 876-9907. 876-9907. Ducks. Call now.
Rubber's tough, but foam rubber is soft. Foam rubber is the star at Stuff It Upholstery, which uses it to revive your couch, your embarrassing easy chair, your boat seat cushions. Stuff It Foam Rubber in Hickson covers Chattanooga and surrounding areas. Don't throw out that favorite easy chair that's grown haggard and barbaric. New life for your seat cushions. Premium auto-grade rubber foam for your restaurant, church, or business. Stuff It Upholstery brings comfort and relief. Go ahead, skid away from flat, dull, and droopy cushions. Relax, restore, revive. When comfort matters, stuff it. 4608 Hickson Pike, 877-1616. Ask for Larry. That's 877-1616.
On your signature, you can get $150,000. Can you believe that? $150,000 on your signature. Hi, I'm Bruce Krebs with the Entrepreneur Source. There's a program right now that you can get $150,000 on your signature with no pledge of collateral or personal guarantee. Call me at 423-875-5621 to learn more. 423-875-5621. You've been thinking about starting a business? Don't do it on your own. I have a proven track record for the last 13 years, a 96% success rate. I can guide you into a franchise where you will pay yourself through the startup phase with very low or little risk. Call me now. I'm Bruce Krebs at 423-875-5621. And make sure to listen to the Entrepreneur Hour every other Wednesday from 11 to 12 o'clock. Call me now, 875-5621.
Want a new look or better mileage to your truck or 4x4 off-road vehicle? Veer off your regular path, rumble into Diesel Off-Road Technologies in Soddy Daisy. Its mechanics and techs have 100 years combined experience making engines roar and exteriors sparkle. Lift kits, Nerf bars, roll cages, bumpers, steps, cold air intakes, all wheels, all tires, customizing, performance tuning, repairs. Diesel Off-Road is the four-wheel specialist. Make your ATV or side-by-side safe and ready to roar. We'll get you in with no hassle. 8 bays, 8 techs, and 4 four-wheel drive specialists. Diesel Off-Road Tech does everything. DieselOffRoadTech.com. Call 805-2800. That's 805-2800. DieselOffRoadTech.com.
When the weather turns bad, turn to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. On the net, hotnewstalkradio.com. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. From the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. Chattanooga, we've got you covered.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Soddy Daisy, Chattanooga.
History is made.
Hillary Clinton wins the Democratic nomination for president. I'm Steve Futterman in Philadelphia.
Bernie Sanders helps it happen.
I move that Hillary Clinton be selected as the nominee of the Democratic Party for president of the United States.